is launching. Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna move.
Here we are,
Well,
guys.
look at this. Those are some nice digs you guys have happening there.
Yeah,
Look at
it's
that.
all right.
First time, I think, on the Metal Voice, Alan. I mean, Todd has been a regular for a long time.
Yeah,
we have
this
Michael
is
Wilton.
we're spoiled today. They're being double teamed here
Spoiled.
with Michael and Eddie Jackson, of course, of Queensryche fame.
That's right.
Guys,
Michael's just trying to find a better spot here, showing off all the beautiful wood paneling.
There we go. Okay.
look at that. Look at that. So you
Yeah.
guys, just so everybody knows, oh, look at that.
That crazy.
Hulk.
That's the producer.
Okay.
In Florida.
Wow, look at this.
Look at that. Jeez.
Wow, look at a
Jeez,
chandelier.
what a beautiful background. Man,
Yeah, this
man.
was his office apparently. So
So, guys, just tell us who this house used to belong to, or it was just what celebrity it was.
it was Hulk Hogan, famous
Really?
wrestler. Yeah.
Wow.
He had a reality show on MTV years back, and this is where he lived and filmed a majority of his show.
So you're in Florida, right?
That's right.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, he lived in
Clearwater, Florida, right?
Yeah. Bel Air.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Clearwater's a great place. Been there many times. Guys, okay. We'll go back and forth between Eddie and Michael.
Okay.
Tell us what you're doing at this beautiful residence. Tell us what's going on, Michael.
Well, we're doing a think tank session, recording demos for the new Queensryche album.
Good.
So we're kind of doing it more as a group, more as brainstorming everybody together, and as well as getting out of the dreary Seattle weather to come
Yeah.
down to Tampa, Florida. It's actually kind of it's a throwback to the way we used to build songs together. Back when there was no Pro Tools and there was like 4-track recorders, 8-track recorders, and things. He still all got together and gave everybody your ideas, and you brainstorm and things come up and you try them out and you throw them at the canvas and you see if it sticks. And that's kind of what we're doing now. I mean, it's obviously it's in a digital framework, but and the ideas are flowing.
Oh, good.
It's kind of exciting, because it's like, this is back, Eddie and I were probably in our, 20s or something, late 20s. And, and then once the digital age came about, it was more of like everybody's, got their own little personal studio and the networking is a little different. It changes, you don't have the human touch, the human contact. And so this is kind of refreshing, fun, and we're coming up with some really killer stuff. So, and the fact that Todd,
Who's
has
the IT support back there? Who's doing
Yeah.
the IT support?
Todd knows some people.
That's cool.
I didn't arrange this place, obviously. So, but anyway, that's what we're doing here.
Mr. Network, social network himself.
One other thing is,
go
our last show was February 27th of last year, 2020.
Wow.
And this is the first time we've actually seen each other in over a year.
Wow.
It was kind of nice getting together and work, we're just we just arrived a couple of days ago, but we're here for just about 2 weeks and, kind of like Michael said, put on our thinking caps on and start creating some music.
So that's it. Going back to what Michael said earlier, you guys are pumping it out. You got some good vibes happening. Is that because you guys were so pent up and isolated for so long that the thoughts and the music's just flowing out of you at this point?
Right, but it's all kind of scattered and fragmented, right? Everybody's got ideas, and it's like now it's like we can converge, and now we can, assimilate and put things together and experiment, on, in real time with humans. So it's
social interaction.
Eddie, is it about the cues? And what I mean by the cues is when artists are together, they hear something and then they build on that cue, like, oh, a lyrical idea or a riff, and then you kind of build on that. Is that's what the difference between, phoning it in versus being together in person is. It's hearing those little certain nuances and creating music that way. That's Daddy.
Sorry. Okay. Now, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Maybe I convoluted. I made it too complicated. Question.
Yeah.
Is it about the sound cues that you get from each other that create that sort of music, versus being at home and dialing it in?
I think a lot of it is the fact that, compared to everyone emailing ideas, it's just simply, a lot of the stuff is, off the top of your head. We have general, ideas already, in place, but a lot of it is just, putting all this together, as opposed to maybe one of us sending a composition and then kind of working on it later. But this is, a lot of it is the fact that we have exchanged song ideas with one another for over the, for the last year or so, and getting together as a band is a whole different dynamic. You're just feeding ideas off each other, and it like Michael said, it's something how it's the way that we used to write back in the day.
Okay, cool. Alan?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having some internet problems here, so I got logged off there. But
guys,
yeah.
When you're back in the basement writing the original EP by Queensryche, I mean, is that the same sort of vibe? Like, you're a bunch of teenagers, right? It's incredible.
Pretty young-looking guys there.
Who are those guys? Who are those guys?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, walk us through that. You're in the basement writing these songs. We'll go back and forth in time here, but is that the same? Is that the same feeling, Michael?
Old school.
Yeah, but obviously we're like a fine wine now. We've aged and we've done this for so long. There's the anticipation is somewhat known what we're gonna do, but back then, we really didn't know what was going to happen. We just kind of believed in what we were doing. We just kind of had the riffs, had these ideas, everybody was, kind of newly friended together, and we were bonding. So it was a whole different dynamic that happened back then. We were young. I mean, we were like 18, 19, 20,
crazy,
and
wow.
Do you remember being that young and trying to organize your life and do something like, that means something? I was
just trying to collect enough money to buy an album back then. I was like 16. I was like, Mom, can I have another $1?
And I think, back then, I think, I can speak for most of us, but we were like going to the record store and looking at all the imports and all the import albums. We were buying like the Iron Maiden and the Accept and Tigers of Pantang, and all these albums that were inspiring us, and in that time in the Seattle scene, it was all like top 40 radio, that kind of stuff, dance music, whatever. And we were young. Probably had a little bit of rebellion in us. So, we wanted to make music like they were making music over in Europe.
Wow.
So
well, yeah, you guys did.
So, I think it's just, there's elements, I think, that you capture now, but it's, I mean, back then, I mean, it was, this is your life, and this is, what are you going to do with it? And let's kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that, like Michael said, we're young, just getting started, and then now that we've, over 35 plus years,
Wow.
kind of established ourselves as a band, and this is very refreshing getting together like we used to back in the day, as a band to write compositions and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to the time, like I said, we're jumping all over the place, but I mean, this EP was a great idea. I don't know whose it was, but like you said,
I'll take credit for it.
Import used to cost us $7.79 plus tax, and if you had 10, you had enough to buy the EP, which a lot of people did. Plus, the songs were fantastic. So, I mean, that was a great way to introduce the band. I don't think too many people here in North America were doing that. So, is that a manager's decision, record labels, or?
I think it was, it was all like, we were just brainstorming, and how do we get this out here? We had a 4-song cassette, and the place that we would go get all our import records would eventually be the management team that would catapult this and invest in this, and we got them to press, I don't know, Ed, was it like 20,000 records or something like that?
Yeah.
Something like that. And, things started happening. And just because of pressing that EP, it made its way to Kerrang magazine, and we got featured in the Armed and Ready section of that magazine, and got a really nice review. They're very kind to us, and it kind of exploded all of a sudden. We were working day jobs. We were twisting resistors and doing stuff, and all of a sudden, they had the radio station on. I remember it was KZOK in Seattle, Washington, and I heard Queen of the Reich.
This is like every band's sort of dream, right? Like, it's just like every band's dream. You put out a demo and it just explodes, and that's what happened, right?
Yeah, and it's playing on the radio. I'm trying to tell that to the boss and the other workers in the factory.
It's me.
And they that's us, and they wouldn't believe it. They go, "That's not you guys. That sounds like a European band. That's not you." And then finally, I think it was the DJ said, "Yeah, that's Seattle's very own, Queensryche," and mentioned our names. And then the boss said, "Oh my gosh, so when are you guys quitting?"
The one thing is, starting out as a band, you really have no idea how far that's going to take you. It's such an unknown. But we've been very fortunate to continue doing something like this that we really enjoy, and a very strong fan base. And yeah, all I can say is, we're very fortunate to continue, releasing albums, touring the world, and and we still enjoy it today, just as much as we did back when we first started.
I reached out to go ahead.
Just a question.
This is Dee Snider's book.
Right? That's a good point, Eddie, because today it's one shot and you're out. Did you have a three album deal at your first contract, or how did it work?
Yeah, I think it was like what was it, Michael? Maybe a
6 album,
5 album.
Wow.
Oh, maybe
5 or 6
album. Yeah,
yeah, it was EMI America.
Which is kind of unheard of today.
Really,
right?
It's the music industry has changed.
That's where I wanted to go with this. Exactly what you guys are talking about. Dee Snider, he compliments you guys, and he goes, "We were struggling, but these guys, they're like out of the gate. They're like exploding, and they had more leverage with the record company, and they had a 6 album deal, and they're touring before they were playing the clubs, where we were kind of like struggling." Do you remember being on tour with Twisted Sister? And how did you have so much leverage? Is it because there was so much demand?
Well, one thing we didn't realize, we were really young, obviously, and we signed this deal. And there's something that's in the deal called tour support. Mm-hmm. And that was our leverage, but we didn't realize that we had to pay that back.
Yeah, nobody did, right? Here's your huge record launch. We got midgets, balloons, and horses, and it's all coming out of your salary.
Yeah. So
I tell you, touring with Twisted Sister back then was a great opportunity for us. Great guys, really great guys, and great band. And we're very fortunate to, that was one of our first major tours when we first started. And, we did a couple of local shows in Seattle with Ronnie James Dio, and there was a band called Zebra. We ended up opening up for them in Seattle, and then we hopped on the Twisted Sister tour, and that was a great time. Great guys.
What a great album, Zebra.
The next Led Zeppelin. Everybody was the next Led Zeppelin back then.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I remember that tour. The reviews the next morning here in Montreal was, you guys blew a Twisted Sister off the stage. I mean, and I think Dee even sat down. They made more out of the fact that Dee grabbed a chair and sat down and wouldn't perform any longer until the fans got into it. So, and that was, like you said, early in your career.
It's crazy.
It was, and it's like Eddie and I, obviously, back, never really played any shows of that magnitude. And I think we did the 2 shows in the 2 Paramount theaters, one in Seattle and one in Portland, Oregon. And I think Ed didn't we like fly to Texas and do some Texas jam with Quiet Riot? So we went, yeah. So we went from like a theater of
3,000,
3,000 to like 8,000. And for a 20-year-old kid, it was mind blowing being on that stage, seeing so many people. And it's like, wow, this is where, you're young and in your 20s and you're going, this is really cool.
I think I'm gonna read something here. Okay. Night Rider, Blinded, Warning, Deliverance, N1, 156, Before the Storm, Child of Fire, Road to Madness, Walk in the Shadows, I Dream in Infrared, Surgical Strike, Chemical Youth, London, Screaming and Digital, Revolution Calling, Operation Mindcrime, Speak, Spreading the Disease, The Needle Lies, My Empty Room, The Thin Line, Empire Resistance, Hand on Heart, One and Only. What do those things have all in common? These are some pretty, that's like, it's Michael Wilton. And when you look at, I think you get overshadowed sometimes, Michael, and not to say that everybody else doesn't do anything. I'm just saying, I think you get overshadowed. People say, oh, DeGarmo Tate. But my God, I was just reading this today. I couldn't believe how much input, you put in co-writing all these major songs.
Well, when we used to write the guitar riffs, Chris and I would come together and I'd say, I have a riff, he has a riff, and, we'd kind of combine ideas. And, so that's kind of how it was done in the first few albums. And, it was, as far as, authorship is concerned, we really kind of figured that out later. But we were more about coming up with ideas and presenting them, to the guys, and we always wanted to do it, more in a interesting way, and it just made what we did a little more funner to play. And I think back in those days, it was, I think everybody was involved in the making of those songs, but the seeds, I guess, came from a lot of those ones you mentioned, myself and Chris. So
you're very humble. And to Eddie, and now Eddie, I just want to say one thing. I know I just cut off Alan. I think, and just tell me if I'm wrong here, you started off, you have all these songwriters, but Eddie, where I'm seeing your musicianship and your writing has come into the last 3 albums. Like, it's off the charts. Your contributions and the great song structures. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, like Michael said at the beginning, it was Michael, Chris, and Jeff that spent a lot of time. But actually, weren't you three living in the same house at one time, Michael?
Yeah, we had an
So-
apartment together. That was one of my
Yeah, so it
first
kind of-
adventures away from home,
Yeah.
living
So
with-
when the three, Michael, Chris, and Jeff are living in the same house, it's, as you can tell, it's easy to sit down and compose a lot of the music because you've got the two guitar players and the singer.
Yeah.
But throughout our career and the more albums that we released, Scotty and I were able to start contributing songs, and but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I really look at it the way that you might have questioned it, but I just think, to me, it's just contributing, and it's just, sometimes it just turns out that way. You might, there might be several songs that I might have written that are part of the, a part of an album. But again, it's just a matter of everyone contributing. And that's probably the simplest way I can actually answer that.
Yeah. But I just applaud you for really, really even stepping up even more so than before in these years, we'll call it, right? And just some great songs,
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Alan, I cut you off before.
No, it's fine, Jim. No, and again, going back, recently we did the top albums, and going back and listening to The Warning, man, EMI, I don't know if they had deep pockets or what, but I mean, it's Abbey Road Studios, and it's your first full-length album, and the sound on that album is absolutely stunning to this day.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was a big step in our career, going to England to record that album, and using a great producer named James Guthrie, who was very influential, and a great man named Michael Kamen, who worked with us. So yeah, it was an eye-opening experience, and plus, as we're in our young 20s, and we're living in a flat in, what was it, Pembridge Crescent in England.
For 3 months.
It was crazy.
None of us had ever been out of the country before.
Wow.
And that was, and it was just such a.
Here's Abbey Road Studio, guys. Here's the keys.
It was such a big culture shock for us, arriving in London, and but what a great time, though.
Yeah, we grew up really fast, definitely.
Is
such
that
a mature
UK
album.
Prague, the UK Prague feeling of being in London, and was that sort of what you wanted to sort of bank on, or it just?
That was kind of more underground. It was more of the that 80s new wave kind of music, the dance music that was happening in London, and like Pet Shop Boys and Boy George and all that kind of stuff. So but the metal, there was an underground metal that was awesome, and they had their the great magazines and everything, and the clothing, and it was a great time to be there, for that. And it's like we recorded in I think 3 studios, and one being Abbey Road.
Yeah, it was Abbey Road,
Very
Mayfair
inspiring,
Studios,
right?
and Angel Studios.
Yes, that's them.
Very
them.
inspiring, right?
Yeah, so we're very thankful. That was a great experience.
Is there any truth to that? They took the mix and they mixed it, and nobody was happy with the mix at the end of the day, or is that just sort of like?
No, there was a couple of mixes floating around. We had that was a little more political, I guess, with the record label. They wanted to. We really liked James Guthrie's mixes, and they wanted it more AOR friendly, I think, in America. Yeah. So they had another gentleman mix it. So yeah, there's 2 mixes that were out there, and they chose the other guy.
That was all part of a learning experience for us as well. We were so new to the business, and every band will experience something like this at one time or another.
I think the key word there is business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know Todd LaTorre's favorite album, The Warning. Heads up.
Heads up. Guys, can we play every song off the album next door?
So look, me and Alan, we were probably a few years younger than you guys, but we were the buyers of these albums, right? And when it came out, I was like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Right, it brings back so memories listening to that again. I mean, Before the Storm, just deep tracks, like great album.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then we'll just look, we're not going to go through all your catalog here. We're just kind of like doing a couple of highlights. Then of course, Rage for Order. This, to me, it's like the masterpiece of all masterpieces. There it is. There's Alan.
On vinyl.
Yeah, that album, I think was when we really started to signify our sort of sound, maybe direction, but that's a very memorable album for me as well.
Yeah.
We were very, looking for different ways to approach the songs and trying to be a bit more experimental, I think. And we were bringing in sound effects and things, crazy, yelling into the guitars and doing all kinds of interesting things to make it more unique. I remember we were in a parking garage and we recorded trunks slamming on cars and getting the big sound in the parking garage, and using that.
Well, that's what you hear at the end of the song "Walk in the Shadows."
Oh, okay.
Is a trunk or a door, a car door slamming, and it
was
just
in a parking
echoed throughout
garage.
the parking garage, and we sampled it, and that's what you hear at the end of the song of "Walk in the Shadows."
And again, having that 4 to 5 record deal or whatever it was, I mean, this allow you the chance to breathe and experiment. Whereas if you had a 3 record deal, now you're going to have to start delivering and get the sales as the business aspect is probably pushing.
I think we were more of a, let's do this, promote it, and tour. We were a heavy touring band, and that's mainly what we were. And we got the opportunity to open for some great bands, some unique bands. And, but it kind of, became a cycle, and you'd get to the point where, you'd be writing the next album and you'd sometimes play a couple new songs and, see how the audience reacts. And, then you tour for a year and then another year, and then you go, I think, with the record company, it was more of just record and then just promote the hell out of it.
I remember seeing you guys open for Ozzy Osbourne
Me
album.
too.
Yeah,
on the Ultimate Sin,
the Crazy Cookie Iron Man.
Yeah, that was some interesting times.
I bet.
What I guess me and Alan were talking about is like, the image. Did they push you guys? And I mean, I know it's been talked about a lot, that image, overdoing it, right? That sort of gothic style. Was that pushed by the record company? Or was that?
That's, we get asked that question a lot, but
and we ask all the bands.
What? If we were young, we really, didn't really sort of have any type of direction on what we wanted to look like. We were just focusing on the music. Right, but that album just, I mean, that's just, as simple as I can explain that. I don't know. I mean, it.
Look, I can show you pictures of me back then, so don't worry. We all had her.
I think that it was more the management at the time that was really pushing the whole image conscious thing. Yeah. It's like they were trying to tell us you have to have an image, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not sure about this, but we'll try it. And then we realized. The music's the image,
yeah.
Like Eddie said. It was like, the next album, Minecraft. Well, we're right back in the leather,
Yeah. I agree with you because, you got people who had the hairnet boxes in the studio at the same time, and you guys never went there. The music stood by itself. And I never realized that until Eddie just mentioned it. It's true.
Yeah. And I just going back to this here, like the studio in Morton Heights. We talked about this right before we started chit chatting. What are your fond memories of working, you know, in Montreal? 'Cause we're in Montreal, so you know it's close by. And what are your fond memories of working at List Studio and creating Operation Mindcrime? You know, good, bad. I'm pretty sure.
I remember we had Chris and I had our Marshall stacks out in the room there, and I remember recording a lot of the solos there. And it was, to this day, I remember doing like the solo and the Needle Lies right there with the producer Peter Collins and the engineer Jim Barton, you know, and I'm just noodling, right? And they go, okay, I think we got it. I go, what? You know,
Paul
and,
Northfield. Remember Paul Northfield?
Yeah,
he was in the mix as well.
He was he did one song. He did Empire, right?
Yeah.
On Empire was recorded and mixed before we went to Vancouver studios, and so that was kind of lingering in between, you know, Mindcrime and Empire. But it was studio. Remember, we went. It was snowing when we were there.
Oh yeah,
we tried to ski down that hill there.
Yeah,
that was
it was winter. A lot of snow everywhere, you know. But you know, we didn't. It didn't bother us because we spent most of our time indoors, you know. But
but you know, I think it was you know, just knowing that Rush had recorded there. I think it was like there was a certain vibe, you know, that was exciting for us. And you know, it was just a great experience, you know, to be there and you know, created some great music there.
Are you guys big Rush fans?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who isn't, you know?
Who isn't, yeah. They're all coming out of the woodworks now.
Yeah, sure.
What was your first Rush show? Do you remember?
Oh geez.
It was in the 80s.
I think it was Farewell to Kings tour.
Oh,
I believe.
that would have been great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I was there at Signals. That was like my first show. Alan, which one did you just see?
Signals, yeah.
Yeah.
First row.
I was probably like 15, I think. Yeah.
I missed the 2112 tour by a couple of years because that was like about a year or two before they toured for Farewell to Kings. But and I believe what was the Hemispheres, I think.
Yeah.
That was
after Farewell. After
yeah.
Farewell to Kings.
Yeah.
I think I was able to. I think I remember seeing that show as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. You guys ever tour with Rush? I can't remember.
No, but I've seen them many times live.
Yeah.
Great
That would have been
band.
a great package.
That would have been
Rush.
fun. Yeah.
I mean, wow, that'd been great. So, okay, we've touched on the past. Moving forward, you know, you guys have some great momentum off the last 3 albums with Todd. What is Todd's a force to be reckoned with. You know, me and Alan talk to Todd all the time. You know, the guy's a drummer, the guy's a guitarist, the guy's like an insane freak of nature vocalist. I mean, this guy's. What are your thoughts on Todd leading sort of the charge and helping you guys I guess, you know, it's been some while now, but what is Todd? Thoughts on Todd? I can't even structure a sentence.
That's a long Thoughts on Todd?
Yeah, well, you know, obviously it was, we took a chance with Todd and it turned out to be great, you know, and he's proven himself, and he's a man that, you know, that is gung ho on, you know, making music and making things happen. And, you know, true, he cut his teeth on the Warning playing drums. So yeah, he's an accomplished drummer, and you know, and I've seen him play guitar as well, you know, and he can get around on the guitar fairly well. But
very talented individual.
But you know, but I think above all, you know, he's a good guy to be around with. You know, he's you know, it's when you're touring as much as we do, the personalities have to kind of mend, and he's such a good friend, and as a bandmate as well. So I think that's the main key. So I think that he's in it for, he's gone through a lot of crazy stuff with us already, and he's having a great time, I think, and we're just a bunch of guys making great music, and he's just very very special, I guess.
Well, he's like I said, he's very talented. Like Michael said, he's very driven, but just like Michael said, he's a great guy, no ego, and I think what I've noticed that's really important is that he's a total team player. And so
he's still a fan of the music, right? We have him on the show here. He can talk about the Warning or albums out of the 80s as long as anybody. So
yeah, well, it helps that he likes the band, past. So
it helps.
Yeah.
So when he came in, it's like it was a decision up front. You're going to be an integral part of the writing process. You're going to be a member of the band, not kind of like a Judas Priest, Ripper Owens, where you stand off to the side and we'll handle everything like we've always done.
I tell everybody this just kind of organically happened, the chain of events that led up to it. And, it was we never held auditions or anything like that. It was just met this guy. Hey guys, I got a guy that says he can sing for us.
Well, the one thing, like you said, the one
emails.
thing that you mentioned was, he was a fan of the band to begin with. So, when we started rehearsing, he already knew our music. He already knew the lyrics to a majority of the songs. So that was, rather beneficial at the time. That's how, it kind of expedited a lot of the things.
Yeah. What do you foresee? Okay, you're on album 4 now with Todd. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. Where do you foresee you going musically? Like, what kind of, are you going to go into another sort of direction, or you stick to the same old? Where do you foresee going? What is the songs kind of like sounding like so far?
Well,
I don't know. It's kind of it is what it is,
Yeah.
I can't describe it. It's just our ideas.
Is that a tough question to sort of at this point maybe to answer, right? Maybe you're not there yet.
I have a hard time, telling people what my guitar style is. It's like I have no idea what I do technically or whatever. So I think it's just organically happening, and we've got a lot of ideas. So now it's just, we're just building it. And that's kind of the joy of doing this as a band, is we get to see it happen in real time, and see the songs build, and that, from the riff, to the finished song. And it's like, we're in that process right now. So it's kind of hard to say where we're going or what we're doing, but it's our producer, Zeus, if this is any indication, he says it sounds like Queensryche.
All right, that's cool. Alan, what do you want to say there before?
No, I just maybe I'll take your question just to tackle it from a different aspect here. If you look at that's the one thing about Queensryche, right? You go from the Warning to Rage for Order, and then Empire to into the Frontier, now Frontier. Then you got American Soldier, Promised Land. So you're not scared to change it up. But your last albums have been much more focused. I dare I say old school, back to the original sound. So is that all those change-ups that happened in the past? American Soldier, and Jimmy and I debate this all the time. That's something that's really, really different, right? So is this going to be more continuation of where it's been with Todd, or you're going to change it up like you've done in the past?
I think we're just going with our gut right now, and it's you don't want to take too many drastic chances in this day and age. So I think it's more, like you said, more of a continuation of the verdict, maybe in some sense. You know, we're riding that wave. You know, it's been good to us.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
People are saying, Jimmy, take some questions, because like the texts are coming in, and sure.
No,
guys,
it could be a combination of the last 3 albums we've released, you know, but
there you go.
Again, we're just kind of, doing our thing.
All right, guys, quick questions. Jason wants to know favorite venues you played at, Eddie or Michael?
Madison Square Garden with Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Can't beat that.
You know.
I tough question for me. I mean, just about any venue. You know, I mean, we're a touring band. You know, and I'll perform anywheres.
Yeah, well, we've played some pretty crappy places, though.
Yeah, that's my follow-up question. Which places you don't want to play?
We played some.
I'd rather
places.
say like Madison Square Garden than,
Here's a Joshua. Will the band ever try to acquire the rights to issue Live in Tokyo as a standalone CD? Maybe, I'm not sure if it was or wasn't ever released as a CD.
I don't think it was, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Unless there's bootlegs out there,
Yeah.
That's a logistic question. That's a business oriented thing. So I don't know. I don't have the answers for that.
All right. It's all good. Alan?
No, I mean, we were talking about Todd earlier, and I was able to see you guys open for the Scorpions a couple of years ago. Well, more than a couple. And, we had all the drama and everything, and then the launching with Todd and the new albums and everything. But man, when you guys hit that stage, it's like, okay, now I get it. When he does Queen of the Right there, you're like, okay, this makes sense. Now this is, and then you guys were just a fiery beast playing. It was just pure power. So, I'm glad to hear that we're going to see more of that probably coming on the next album. So,
all right, David wants to know your influences, Eddie. Michael, who are your influences growing up, I guess, back in the day?
I have so many, but just to name a couple of them, I was, a big fan of Alice Cooper, Grand Funk Railroad, some of the earlier Rush, when at the time when I was introduced to Rush was, I think it was 2112, but, Yes, to Sabbath, Van Halen, just to name a few. There's just so many bands out there that I enjoy listening to.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, that kind of 60s stuff, that records that my dad had. So I was listening to that kind of stuff. And then as I got into school, we were listening to Led Zeppelin. So Jimmy Page was a big influence, and then Richie Blackmore was influenced because we were listening to Deep Purple all the time, and and then it was kind of like Ed said, the prog thing. We got into Yes and Pink Floyd and the whole very melodic guitar playing, and then high school was more of the like UFO and Michael Schenker and and then Van Halen, the crazy, fast playing stuff, so, all those kind of played a big part in the guitar arena, I guess, for me. But, and I don't know if you guys do, but I still kind of listen to that old stuff still.
So do I. I mean, well, listen, we're fans first.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's I don't go a day without at least listening to those bands back in the day. Like Michael said, the Beatles, I'm a big fan of, to Alice Cooper, to, there was a band called Angel,
right?
Yeah,
that I kind of got into there for a while. Pat Travers, I mean, it's just, I'll go back and digress and listen to a lot of those old classic albums, just I'm a fan first, like I said.
Frank Marino?
Oh yeah. Saw him live open up for the for Aerosmith.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Frank Marino. Yeah.
Mahogany
Doesn't live too
Rush.
far from
Yeah,
you.
Mahogany Rush. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep. I saw
Yeah.
him open up. What was that? I think that was Draw the Line tour for Aerosmith, and Mahogany Rush opened up for him.
Oh man, Frank Marino is amazing. I just
Yeah.
love Frank Marino.
You know who
All
also
right.
is a really good band I was into was there's a band, Canadian band called what was it? Riot?
No, they weren't Canadian though.
Out
Oh,
of New
Canadian.
York.
They weren't Canadian. They're from New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
the
thought
Canadian
maybe the
label
singer's
signed
name
them
was-
Yes.
early on.
Oh,
there was a
really? I didn't know
there was
that.
a Canadian connection. It was a Canadian connection there, definitely.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Riot's
Great
a
band,
great band.
absolutely. Oh
We're a
yeah.
huge fan.
Great
Yeah,
band.
that
What's
album
going on
Fire,
here? Hey,
Fire
there's
Down
the
Under.
man.
Fire Down Under.
Yeah, Fire Down Under was a big influence. I love that album.
Todd's favorite band growing up?
Oh, what genre?
All right, you're 16 years old. You're in high school.
You got enough money for one album. You go down to the record store. What are you getting?
You know, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son's one of my all-time
Oh
favorites.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
remember. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just saying, hey, I'm gonna go back downstairs. So I'll talk to you guys later. I'm glad that
Well,
you're
we're gonna wrap
Nope.
up soon.
Yeah.
Here's some more questions, guys, if you're okay with them. A lot of people are asking, and I'm just trying to keep up here. And if I'm going this way, it's because I'm looking at the questions. John saying, Michael and Eddie, what's your favorite Queensryche song? If you had to pick one, you could only pick one.
Yeah.
And then we'll ask Todd the same question. But he's
That's there's
enforcer.
so
that's
many
Todd.
songs we've written, you know.
Well, yeah.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's really tough to answer that question. I don't know. I guess depending on the day
or the mood you're in.
or the mood you're in.
All
One of
right.
mine's NM156. That song.
What a
just
great
kicks ass.
song.
Yeah, good song. Good song.
It's amazing how that music. Michael, you said that was on a 16 or a 24 track you recorded The Warning.
16.
Oh,
Isn't
wow.
that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
And
because
Rage
we
Order was on a 24 track.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Insane.
Yeah, we had to
It's insane.
bake those tapes and preserve them and import them into Pro Tools because the tapes were getting so old,
Wow.
you know, and they were you know, I guess they start sticking together, right?
Yeah.
And so and you know, you open up Rage for Order and it's like, wow. 24 tracks.
And
then you
Mindcrime-
look at Warning and it's like, wow, 16 tracks. And that's when you start listening and you see like if an instrument is not performing at that time, you know, like a sound effect would be placed on that same track. and then it'd go back to the guitar part or whatever, you know. It was you know, in those days, it was, you know, still kind of the bouncing of tracks and making room for other tracks kind of a thing.
Do you guys still talk to DeGarmo? That's from Fairy Tax Dave. Do you start any
Yeah,
connection?
we keep in
You
contact.
guys have been friends,
know?
right, for a long time.
Yeah, we're friends, and I golf with him once in a while. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. He's
about
still a great friend of ours. You know, in fact, he called me and wished me a birthday in January. But you know, Michael and I every once in a while we'll you know, play a round of golf with him. You know, get together, you know, for a short while and just hang. You know, but he's very busy, you know, with his schedule. But yeah, I mean, we still keep in touch.
That's good. That's
Great
good.
guy. Yeah.
Good. Somebody said, Art says, what about a crazy touring story? But I mean, that could go on forever, right?
Well, they did open for Ozzy.
Yeah.
Will you do a CD release show in Seattle when the new record is finished? I guess that's really so far away. That's Mike, what he wants to ask. That's like,
That's a possibility, you know.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
all right.
So what's the
Guys,
Seattle scene like now in you know, in these times compared to what it was back maybe in the early 90s?
Seattle's been a mecca for all types of music, you know,
Yeah.
and as far as anything new, I'm kind of oblivious, I guess, to that. but we've been in a pandemic, so there's been no bands playing. So it's like
you don't
really know who's still around or who's new. Or
to add to Alan's question, I remember, you guys from Seattle, and then this whole grunge thing happened. I mean, how did it, like, were you at odds with the grunge movement at the time? Coming out of Seattle and sort of like, I guess, metal kind of being pushed aside. I don't know.
Well, being in the music business, you're aware of, any new trends, any new styles of bands coming out, but, we just kind of stick to doing our own thing, but, we're a fan of a lot of those bands, especially out of Seattle, but, we've always just, kind of continue doing our own thing. We don't let anything else kind of influence us, but, I don't know. I mean, it was, I tell you, that era certainly got Seattle on the map, and a lot of great bands, when that whole scene, happened, and a lot of those bands are still active today, which is great.
Yeah, cool. The funniest member, Brett wants to know the funniest band member. Who's the funniest band member? I guess everyone's going to say they are.
Eddie is.
Eddie? Eddie's the funniest guy in the band?
He's got lots of good jokes.
Well, LP's pretty funny as well.
He's on the spot now.
We put him on the spot.
He's going to start doing some knock-knock jokes. All right, that's pretty much it. Guys, this was like super. Thank you so much for taking your time. We're, looking forward to you guys going back on tour. Oh, is there a show date? Like, I mean, I think I saw somewhere on Facebook there was a date.
I believe we have a show on May 21st, I believe, in Idaho. And there's a string of shows throughout the year, but it's kind of an unknown still, because we actually, a lot of the shows that were scheduled last year that were postponed and rescheduled for this year, those shows starting in January through April, those shows that were scheduled from last year for this year have been rescheduled for later on this year, or maybe even 2022. So it's hard to say what shows are going to happen and what aren't, it's kind of out of our control, but like I was saying earlier, it's been over a year and 3 months since we've performed a show, but we're looking forward to it, if it does happen.
Yeah.
I was going to go see you guys in Vegas, but I guess that got postponed. So
yeah, that's been rescheduled as well, like a lot of other shows too. So we'll see what happens. There's a Kiss cruise coming up in October, November.
Nice.
And again, as of right now, we have to assume that these shows are going to happen, but until we hear otherwise.
Have you guys been vaccinated?
I have been. Michael and I have been.
2 doses or 1?
Sorry?
2 or 1?
Fully vaxxed, both of them.
Oh, geez.
Wow. I've been fully vaccinated.
Wow. We haven't even gotten our first dose here.
It's I'm not one to say anything more than just, to each his own,
Yeah, I agree.
It's unfortunate though, how long this pandemic has been lingering, and it's affected so many people in many ways. I'm kind of burned out on it, to be honest with you. I just so done with COVID, I'm sure millions of people are thinking the same, but hopefully we'll get back to some normalcy here soon.
Well, we're starting with the 3 of you in the same place in Florida, starting new music. So that's a great start for encouraging for everybody. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Gabriel said, Jimmy, don't forget that Metal Church came out of Seattle area, right? Outside of Seattle, I believe.
That's right.
Outside. Kurt came out. Great band. And, another thrash, the godfathers of thrash back then the day, right? Todd, tell Todd, thank you very much for, putting this all together. Much appreciated.
Certainly will.
Eddie, Michael, this was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Let's do it again when you have, more music done and you want to promote that album or tour or whatever it is. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the support.
Stay well
guys.
and Good luck with the music.
Oh, yeah.
Stay safe out there.
Thanks.
All right. Let
All
me
right.
just.
Have a great day, guys.
You too.